back to another episode. In this episode we make our way across the Gulf of Cadiz to finally get into the Straits of Gibraltar, meet my new crew member and guy you've already met. We stop at some beautiful anchorages and finally get into the Med. But first, let me just recap on where I left you last episode. I had some diesel leaks coming from my tank because of this filter and me over tightening it. Guy's a pretty good engineer, so when he come back we investigated more. Let's get to it. So on the tank here, there's no way that we could actually see. Oh yeah, okay, cool. So now we can see. On there, buddy. So now we can see they've actually tapped threaded like inserts. So yeah, we just need to. Oh, that's great news. That's great news. So all we need to do now is seal up these bolts, and we should be good to go. So as you can see, it's a little brass insert. Now they don't go all the way through into the tank. They're like they've got a back to them, so it's encapsulated. So what I've clearly done, there's one there and then one there for the two holes. Being heavy-handed, I've turned it and unfortunately I've moved these brass fittings slightly, created a gap between the plastic and the brass fitting, and that's how they've leaked. So we're just kind of hoping we're going to put some Sikaflex on the nuts and then hopefully, you know, put a little bead around the outside. It's a temporary measure because I don't think it's going to last very long. But yeah, we're going to put it back on, fill the tank up and see what happens.
You can see it good.
Okay, so you can see now we have put the filter housing back onto the tank. We've put Sikaflex on, which is compressed and squeezed it out. So yeah, like I said, the fuel was coming from the outside of those brass threads. So unfortunately, because it's into plastic thread, not so great. When it's gone, it's gone. But we're hoping this Sikaflex is going to push into the tiny little gap between the brass threaded inserts and the plastic threaded tank, seal this leak that's happened. And it, like I say, it's a temporary measure. I need a new fuel tank, but at the moment we can get going. Right, next boat job. So while we're waiting for that adhesive to go off, I've had, since I bought the boat, my bow thruster toggle switch there, port, starboard, it's kind of, if I turn it to the side, it comes up and down. It's very intermittent. So I've come into marinas at some points and it's I've gone to use my bow thruster and it's not been there. So a while ago I bought a new joystick. So boat job now, soldering kit out for the new toggle. We're going to attack that. So I haven't soldered since school and it's gone in all right. I've actually tested it. Okay mate, that's it, and it works. So that is another job jobbed. We're waiting for that Sikaflex to go off hard. Heading to town for a coffee. Met another English couple. This is a crazy story which I will tell you about later, and I'm going to introduce you to them. Yeah, so pack this up, and me and Guy and my new mate Rob and his wife Kat, we're going to go into town, have a coffee. I'll tell you the story and introduce you. It's crazy. So after sorting our few bits out and having a coffee, he was back to the boat and start doing a passage plan. We was leaving Portimao, just there as I'm pointing out. Original plan was to shoot straight across the Gulf of Cadiz into the Straits. Stopping in a little anchorage in Faro first, there. But instead I decided, as you'll find out, to day hop there, and then down to Barbate before entering into the Straits, as I'm indicating there. So the passage plan did change. I was going to do an overnighter, but because of those big horrible orcas I got scared and changed it. Which I'm glad I did, because as you're about to see, we saw some lovely little anchorages. Okay, so we are at sea. I've not introduced you to Rob yet. This is Rob.
Hiya.
And you've already met Guy.
Hello.
So here's the story of how we met Rob. When I got back to the boat, as I've already explained, I had a leak where the filter housing was going through the house. Well, Guy luckily is very mechanically minded, so we come up with some ideas. We was going to fix it ourselves because they couldn't source a brand new fuel tank. So we've found a way around it. It's a temporary measure. However, I wanted to get one of the local guys on the boat. His name's Ben. He's Brit. He come on, he took time out. Thanks Ben, that was amazing. He come on and he said, I know I've got a mate a few boats down. He's got the same kind of boat as you, so we will see where his fuel filter is. So we went down, and then I heard this Bristolian accent and I was, oh, he's from Bristol, when he's chatting away.
And then his lovely Mrs. Cat, I heard her Bristolian accent, and then she popped her head round, she saw me, she went, "Oh, he knows you." And I'm like, "Where? I've been in the UK for a week." And then she went, "You're Weymouth Warrior," obviously my boat. So it was so nice to actually be noticed from my YouTube channel. And as it happened, you know, Rob loves sailing and we wanted some more crew, so here we are.
Yeah,
so we're making our way to, well, the plan is, Rob, what's the plan? What are we doing again?
the plan is I've come on board to give you a hand to get through the Gibraltar Straits.
Yep.
Obviously with orcas and things like that, and you've already had that experience, and with more crew on board it's a lot easier, I think, and takes a bit of pressure off. So I'm jumping on board to give them a hand. I'll probably get off at Malaga and then head back to Faro.
That's it.
And then hopefully the boys will crack on then and enjoy some men sailing.
That's the plan. But as we've already found out, you can plan as much as you like. Good morning, people. We are leaving. Rob, where are we?
We are just leaving Calatra.
Calatra, beautiful little island. Very Caribbean-y. I didn't get ashore, but the boys went ashore. Hello. And yeah, the mission was milk. Came back with wine. Brilliant. So we are now leaving. The plan was to leave here this morning, overnight sail, get to the Straits of Gibraltar for the early tide tomorrow morning, and then fire through the Straits. However, something's not sitting right with me. Since I've had that orca attack, I'm on edge, and my luck since I left the UK has not been the best. So I've changed the passage plan. We're going to go further north up into the Bay of Cadiz to, well, in fact, I'll be putting the Spanish flag back up later. I think it's called a Helva, something like this. Anchor there overnight. It's going to be a long, and then the next day is going to be a long day all the way down to What was it, Rob? Barbate. So Barbate. I'm really good at this, and Barbate the next day, and then from Barbate, it's early. Barbate then is going to be a 3-hour sail to the start of the Straits, and then the tide will slingshot us through. And then I'm happy to overnight sail. When I'm on the other side of the Straits, where there's not so many, or if we have very little orca encounters, then I'll be happy to night sail. But this side of the Straits, with my luck, it doesn't sit right at the moment. So that's the plan. So we're heading back out. So as you saw yesterday, the tide was herring out of here. So we've caught the following tide, high tide coming out. So it's now firing us out, which is nice. A few episodes ago, I got all excited because I could finally take down the Spanish courtesy flag, put up the Portuguese flag. But I said I was only taking the Spanish one down for the time being, because as soon as I got round out the across the south end, you know, the Algarve, I'm going back into Spain. So here we have it. We was going to anchor outside. It's blowing 20 knots. We were seeing 25 knots coming into, so where are we? I can't remember the name of it, but it's Helva, I think it is, Helva. And it was, I mean, I had the head sail out coming up into the sheltered part, if you like, over the other side of that wall, and I was doing 8 knots of a head sail on. We decided the anchorage was no good. It would be a horrible night. So we've come to this marina. I'll find out the name and I'll write it on the bottom. But we are in, and it was a hell of a job because the wind just wanted to push me out and here, there and everywhere. But we are going to go for a well-deserved burger, beer and a shower before we head off. Before we head off. Good morning. We have left Magazon, I think it was called. Yeah, so what's the time now? We're on Spanish time, 9:45, which is good time. We're leaving this little estuary, I guess. No, it's not even an estuary, but we're doing 7.2 knots. We've got both sails up, 11 knots of wind, so the tide is pushing us quite a bit. Going to start bearing sort of southeast shortly and heading down to Cadiz, where we shall anchor tonight. So you've got the 6 degrees decimal 33, find that again, so 6 degrees, you find your 33, and what's decimal 27, and then you find your line, you intersect that line, yeah, and then that right there is your position, so you can mark it on. I think I'm getting it. You've got it? Yeah. And then what we can do is we can find out exactly how far we come from our last position using the dividers, and then you can do that and you go to the side of the chart, and then however many marks you got there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a tad. So we've done 6. So we've done 6 nautical miles in the last hour. So that means we're doing 6 knots.
And then you could then use this roughly, if we continued at the same speed, to work out where we're going to be at our destination.
Exactly that. So we have just got to the entrance of Cadiz. Massive bridge over there. Hoping to find an anchorage just around the corner of this first breakwater. It says on Navily that there is an anchorage there, but it's probably big enough for 1 or 2 boats. If no dice with that, then we've got to carry on right around the sort of big port area, and there's meant to be another anchorage there. It's in mud though, so I don't really fancy it. Hopefully we can get this first one, but I'll let you know when we've got the hook down. So we went to the first anchorage. Very tight, very small, did look very protected. Our option number 2 is going to be here, but it's very close to the ships hum in and all this business. Option number 1 has always been up in the corner. I don't know if you can see in the distance underneath the bridge. It's supposed to be a nice anchorage because at night you've got all this bridge, and it does look pretty impressive. So we'll throw the hook down and see what happens.
So after we put the hook down, I got the boys to pump up the dinghy, go ashore to get supplies. By supplies, I mean wine and beer. And then we had a nice little chill out, sing along in the cockpit to what was a beautiful sunset. Been very lucky with these sunsets. On Navily, we heard that this anchorage is in a beautiful setting right underneath the bridge because you get to see all the lights. The GoPro doesn't do it justice, but it was lovely. And then it's up nice and early again.
Good morning. We are just about to leave Cadiz anchorage. Beautiful sunrise. Got one of their frigates on the way out, and under the bridge another. They're off for some activities. I don't know what. Right, weigh an anchor, and we're on our way to Barbate, which is the last stop before the Straits of Gibraltar. So one of the purchases I made when I was back in the UK was this little bad boy. Solar bag, solar shower. Fill it with water, stick it in the sun, black side up, heats up, so you get a nice warm shower when you're finished. We was using those in the army when we went to Kosovo, and I just think it's going to be quite handy to have on the boat. Today's not so bad because we have the engine running all day, so I'll have plenty of hot water, but on days where we're just sailing, when you get to anchorage, then it's just a nice warm shower, especially if you're diving into the sea for a quick dip afterwards. We are about to pass a very poignant place in Royal Naval history of the world. That right there is Cabo de Trafalgar. So it was the Battle of Trafalgar, somewhere between here and probably Cadiz, where we just left. More than likely could have been right where I am now, was the Battle of Trafalgar. And this is a pretty special moment to be in the same waters as those heroic men and women, probably just men back then actually. So my history's not the best, but I love history, I love learning, and fortunately having Rob on board, he is the font of all knowledge and he loves his maritime history. So no further ado, Rob is going to give us a little spiel about where we are and what happened.
Hello viewers, we're just coming round well, they call it Capo di Trafalgar, which is where the Battle of Trafalgar took place. Nelson was born on the 29th of September, I think 1758. He died in the Battle of Trafalgar. It was the 21st of October 1805, but he wasn't actually buried until the following year. Now allegedly, I've heard stories that they put him in a vat of rum to preserve his body, because he didn't get his body back to London, and he was actually buried on the 9th of January 1806 in St Paul's Cathedral, London.
So there we have it, and here we are going through the very area that all took place. So we have boat jobs on the move today. This morning when we was using the electric winch, I'm very fortunate to have electric winch. We got two switches, fast, slow. As you can see, the rubber on that switch is starting to perish. You know, it should have looked like this when it was new. They're both going, however this one will last. This one's gone and it's sticking. Fortunately I had a spare one. We're hoping it's just the rubber. I got the best man on the job.
I'm a pastry chef by trade.
Oh dear. And guys got the tools. So we're gonna
all the gear, no idea.
All the gear, no idea. So we're gonna crack on and change this. Out with the old, in with the new.
And guess what? It works.
It doesn't stick anymore. Before, because of this perished bit of rubber, you'd press it, it would stick. So when the sail was going up and you let go near the top, it still wanted to take it out the top of the mast. Not so good. So another jobbed.
Guy brought one of his drones out with him, so we decided to give it a go. A little bit nerve-wracking, first time off the boat, hoping it wasn't going to drop. But he launched lovely and he managed to get this amazing shot of the Warrior.
Morning. We have just left the anchorage of Barbate. We're leaving at first light. We wanted to leave when it was dark, but I still don't trust those pesky black and white fish. So first light, lovely little sunrise coming over the hills there. Making our way down to the Gibraltar Straits to make the tide to push us in. Hopefully catch most of the tide going round. It might turn against us for the last hour or so, but at least we can see any fishing gear that's going to be out now because it's first light. Spain, Morocco, Espanol, Morocco. I don't know Morocco and Moroccan. We are in. It was a very hairy situation. I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm rubbish at this. I totally forgot to film it. However, let's have a look. We are in Estepona, and we have, as you can hear, a lot of wind. We've had to come onto the holding pontoon. It's a waiting key. I'll go back down below because it is windy. I saw 25 knots as I'm approaching, and if it wasn't for Guy, with his experience, he'd give me some tips and hints, and I had Rob up on the bow doing his thing. He's not even looking.
Hello, hello.
If it weren't for these guys, I would not have got on that. So massive thanks to the crew.
You're welcome. Thanks, Captain, for getting us in safe.
Yeah, let's have some beers, eh?
Definitely beer o'clock. But yeah, that was the hardest berth I think I've done, because I just would never come in on anything around 20 knots. But yeah, I saw 25 coming on that. So we're in. We are going to go shower. We are going to go eat, and we are going to have a couple of beers. And then tomorrow we've got our proper pontoon. We're going to have another night tomorrow, and we are going to get our proper berth. And this is going to be my first time stern to docking, so I'll make sure that I record that, and you can see me trash my boat. Yeah. That's us had a shower. There she is on the waiting pontoon. Way too windy to head into the main marina. We've had our shower, we've had a quick beer, we're going to go for some food, but I think first of all Rob needs to show his appreciation.
We are not going out with him in them.
It's lovely called.
Real men wear cords, that's all I got to say.
Real men wear cords. Right, okay, so that's us, boats tied up, we've had a shower, that was pretty intense coming into that dock, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Electric. This is the marina we're in. Beautiful little place. And very cheap, 33 euros for my boat, 12 metre boat. I mean, I've been seeing 40, 45 euros, so this is really good. Guess who forgot to record the stern to docking? I can only apologise. In the morning, so we went out, we had a few beers. In the morning, I was, so caught up in organising the crew and making sure that I knew what was going to happen with the stern to docking. If you look at the front here of these boats, you've got what you call slime lines. So what happens is you back in. As you back in, you throw a stern line to one of the sailors who come to get your lines either side. When the boat's in position, one of your crew will then grab a line. Well, the sailor will pass you a thin line. I don't know if you can see on the back, just underneath that ring. And as you pull it up, you pull it up, you pull it up, you move to the front of the boat, you then end up with your big fat slime line. You then hook that on. You are now held in position. So if you can see all these boats. So the next morning there was no wind, absolutely flat calm, and I was actually put on a pontoon on the end over there. It turns out, I think, they say that it's for 12 metre boats, which I was the longest boat on there, and the stern was backing up far too close to the wall for my liking. Not this wall obviously, but just demonstrating how close we are. I'll take a walk down and show you. And I've got the hydrovane on the back, so if I'm getting too close, the hydrovane's going to hit the wall. Then it's got potential to damage the boat, the whole of my boat. So you can see here, I'm just fortunate that these come up. So Guy has very kindly bought me one of these big buoys, which is ideal, and which means that I've actually done two stern to dockings now. The second one was just me and Guy. Rob went home, he went back to Portimao. Thanks again, Rob, for all your help. We had a fantastic time with you. And Kat, we'll catch up with you next time. That was a fantastic story of these guys were from Weymouth. Well, they're from Bristol originally, and they spent 2 years in Weymouth Marina because of COVID. So yeah, it was just crazy how we're both from Weymouth. We're all from Weymouth. We just met up. So yeah, there we go. I've done a stern to docking twice, both with no wind, but it was a great practice. But again, I'm so sorry that I forgot to film it. There she is, stern to docked. It was actually fairly easy. When you get steerage way going astern, which my boat doesn't really like because she's got really bad prop walk, but when you get going, it's easier to stop going backwards. Going forwards, it can take like 2-3 boat lengths before you actually stop. But going astern, because the prop's near the back of the boat, I actually have more control. So I was panicking, but turns out it's not too bad. But we had very nice conditions, hardly any wind. So it'll be challenging to do it with wind and solo. But it's lovely, the marine is lovely. And there's a little market today.
We decided to go and explore Estepona, found quite a few roundabouts that they like to decorate, and yeah, it's really nice. We found what we thought was maybe some kind of bullfighting arena, as we saw this statue outside, but we couldn't get in. It wouldn't be the traditional bullfighting, I wouldn't have thought, but more of a touristy one. As is the case along practically the whole of the Malaga coast, Estepona's history is heavily marked by the presence of Phoenicians, Romans and Arabs. The town was founded during the Phoenician colonisation when it was known as Estepona. However, it was in Roman times that it really flourished. Now there is a lot of construction, as you just saw there, a lot of apartments being made. We took a walk up round the top, and then there's this old lighthouse which is working. At night it is actually quite a pretty thing to look at.
As usual, everybody, thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoy making these things. I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who subscribed. I've just hit 1,000 subscribers, which it's blown me away. I was only doing these videos as something to look back on when I finished doing what I'm doing. However, you know, I think since the orca attack, it's kind of gained a little bit of momentum to the point where I've got 1,000 subscribers, and yeah, thank you again so much. So at the moment we're in Estepona, as you know. There is no wind for the foreseeable forecast, which is over a week, and now that I'm through the Straits of Gibraltar and into the Med, I'm not in much of a hurry per se, as in I need to motor to the next place, but I am running out of Schengen days. We being out of the EU now, we get 90 days in 180 rolling days. So what I'm going to do is head back to the UK for a couple of weeks, leave the boat here. So there probably might be a bit more of a gap between the next episode. I do apologise. However, like I say, I'm just going to be wasting days, and when I come back, the aim is Ibiza, obviously stopping along the way. So yeah, thanks again for watching, guys. If you're not subscribed already, please support the channel. It does take quite a bit of time to do all this, in amongst doing boat jobs, in amongst trying to sail from place to place, you know. So by subscribing and supporting the channel, giving me a like, thumbs up, anything like that, you know, I really appreciate it. See you soon.